Okay, so first thing I want to talk about here is window layout. When you first install Vegas, this is Vegas 13, when you first install Vegas, it's going to have a different layout than this. I have this set up kind of the way I like it. When you first install Vegas, it's going to look something like this. And this is because Vegas is used primarily for audio or video editing. And the way this window is set up here, you can come get your files over here. This shows kind of what you got here. And then your different tracks and whatnot, videos and whatnot in here. And then the video preview window right here, and then down here would be some audio and different things like that, video track down here as well. But since I primarily edit audio in Vegas, I like to have my windows set up. And this is one thing I love with Vegas. When you move the windows around, get them the way you want, you can save it as a custom layout. And so I just have mine set to normal. And so this is the way I usually have it, and then I kind of move it depending on what the project calls for. But I like it like this. This allows you to drag audio in there. Let's put some audio in here just for some context here. What do we got? Let's do this. And that'll build the peaks down here. This shows you as it's loading in. Okay, so now we've got some audio into Vegas. And one cool thing about the windows, the way I have it set up here, is this big space here means that I can grab over here and make the file as big as I want. And if I had a ton of tracks, I could make them really small if you wanted that. If you're recording a bunch at one time, you didn't need to see everything. That's helpful for that. And then in terms of the other windows that I have showing, I always like to have the master bus showing down here just to make sure that I'm not peaking, or if I need to add any. When I'm done with the project, I usually throw some sort of a maximizer or some sort of a limiter on the master bus to make sure nothing is peaking and to get it to be the level I want it to. So it's nice to have the master bus. I always have something over here. This is for video stuff over here, but the cool thing about Vegas is when you go up here to window, you can have anything, any of these things showing at any time here. So like right now, I'll show you the video preview window, which it was open there, but it was off screen, I think. So video preview brings it up here. So you can expand, make this smaller, bigger, however you, whatever you want to do with it. And this is helpful for when you're working on video. The cool thing in Vegas is whenever you have a video that's out like this, if you just hold Control and then move it down somewhere, you can dock it into these places here. And that's always really helpful to just dock a bunch of different things. And then you can actually collapse everything and have the thing featured if you want. Make any of these the featured thing, and it just kind of brings them over, as you can see here. I really like the way windows work here in this. But I like to have, when I'm not working with video, I definitely don't need that. They're taking up space. So I like to kind of generally have it like this. One thing that is nice also that you might want to have in there is your project media. And so sometimes I'll get rid of this and I'll throw the project media in there. So again, I just hold Control, bring it down here, it docks it to this window. And then I like to bring my master bus back to the middle and then have the master bus over here. And then what the project media is here is it just shows you anything that you've put into the session already. And I was using this crack knuckle sound to sync my video at the beginning here before I actually started talking. So it just shows you everything you've loaded into the session down here. So if you need to re-bring something up, it's all stored down here. And you can, all sorts of different things you have over here, ways to organize your files. But I never really use that too much. I just kind of focus on the master bus here. So that's cool, and you can do any sort of a thing with Windows that you want. Let's see what some of these other things might be interesting in here. Plugin Manager. This is the window that opens when you add plugins. So this automatically opens, and then you can close it as you add plugins to something. So let's close that. Oh, here's something I should mention too. I'm not sure how it's set to default, but when you drag the windows like this with the tracks, you can see different things here, appear, and then disappear as you make this section here bigger or smaller. And you always want to have it set so that everything that you need is showing. So like right now, if I wanted to record on this track, I would just hit the record enable button, which I don't want to do that right now, but that would be setting where it wanted to record to, and then hit down here to actually do some recording. But if I don't need that, I know I'm not going to be recording, I can go ahead and make this a little smaller. And this is the phase button to invert the phase. I know I'm not going to be needing that, so I can make that smaller. And that's about the way I would usually work with stuff. And this whole window has a lot of customization you can do to it as well. So I really like the way Vegas works with windows and the way that kind of stuff works.
Prepare yourself for absolute terror.
Okay, so I've got some audio in here.
Okay.
Now let's see here. What do we got?
To the music room. Yeah. To the music.
This is something I was recording before for a podcast that I work on. If you want to check it out, go to musicroompodcast.com.
Prepare yourself. Whoops.
Let's get a good take here.
Prepare yourself.
There we go. I think that's the one I actually used in the episode.
Prepare yourself for absolute terror.
Sweet. Okay, so now that we've got some audio into here and we can see what we got going on.
Terror.
You'll notice too, as I make the track bigger and smaller, it actually makes the waveform itself bigger, meaning that you can see things that you might not be able to see if you had them smaller. And so it can be useful for editing to make them bigger sometimes. Sometimes it's not practical if you have multiple tracks going at once.
Prepare.
So let's say I want to just I'll show you just how to do some few quick editing things here. So place my cursor wherever I want and hit S on the keyboard. That separates it. Now, one cool thing about Vegas, it doesn't make it into its own separate file or anything like that. All the information before and after it is still stored in this little clip here, but you can go ahead and edit it however you want. You can add, grab the top of the window here and add fades in and out.
Prepare yourself for absolute terror.
Now, if you right-click on a fade and go fade type, you can fade it out in different ways. You can see the waveform change there.
Prepare yourself for absolute terror. Prepare yourself for absolute terror.
So that's useful for different editing and things like that. We'll keep it set to default for right now.
For absolute terror.
Now, because Vegas still remembers everything that's in there, though, you can just go ahead and drag forward or backwards.
Prepare.
And see
Prepare.
what you've got. So it makes a lot of editing very easy. For example, if I wanted to go
terror
right from his voice back into his voice, I could go ahead and cut that out. Automatically creates a crossfade.
Terror. I haven't had enough yet, that's why.
He hasn't had enough, that's why.
Enough yet, that's why.
Expect it to be good right away.
Yeah, yes. Prepare yourself for Prepare yourself for...
Oh, here's something I should mention too. Right now I'm using a mouse that has just a right click, left click, and then a scrolling wheel. And I love Vegas because it allows you to click anywhere in the editing window here. And then if you scroll back, you zoom out, scroll forward, and you zoom in. And that is so useful. It's very useful when doing edits and finding transients and everything. But even better than that is if you hold Shift and scroll, you scroll left and right. And so basically you can work really fast doing little edits, making things real fast. And just keep scrolling, adding whatever you need, taking, copy, paste, works just like it does in anything else. Copy and paste, make a separation, make a crossfade.
Terror.
Whatever you want to do.
Welcome to the music room. Ways of making you feel pain. Yourself.
So that's just a little bit of editing stuff there. Let's see what else we got.
Prepare yourself for absolute.
Let's say that you wanted to reverse this clip. This might be something you would want to do on occasion. You can do a lot of different things to the individual file itself when you right-click on it. So right-click on it, and you can open a trimmer. I never mess with the trimmer. The trimmer is complicated. But you can do different things. You can apply audio effects. which basically brings up your different plugins that you have available to you. You can apply effects to it. Well, I'll get into that in a sec. So let's say, though, there's a couple things that you can do with it that are always interesting. So reverse is in this section, and then also if we go down here to switches, there's a thing called normalize, and you can also invert the phase from here. So those are two things that you might on occasion use.
Prepare yourself for absolute.
So let's say we want to reverse it. Now reversing this, because it remembers everything that's left and right of it, what it's going to do is it's going to have to re-render it down here. And it makes the whole thing reverse, but it keeps your edits. So let's get rid of that stuff there. And now you'll see, as I drag this out, everything is still there. Okay, here's something else that's useful. We can always go back to, by the way, if you reverse that again, basically just undoes it. Once you reverse a track or a clip, you'll see that that is checked. There you go. So it's really easy to do that. Something else that's nice and helpful, that is useful, if you hold Control and you go to the edge of a track here, you'll notice that little wavy line comes up. That's the time stretch. That allows you to stretch the time here.
Prepare yourself for absolute terror. Terror.
Now, every clip has a maximum amount that it can be stretched either way, and that's just depending on how long the clip is.
Terror. Absolute terror. For absolute terror. Terror.
And that goes for both in and out.
Terror. Terror. Terror.
So that's the fastest I can make him say it.
Prepare yourself for absolute terror. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for absolute terror.
So that's how that kind of stuff works. Now, one thing that's useful, let's delete that. Let's say I'm editing over here, and I want the cursor to go back over here to the beginning of this. If you hit the home button at any point, the home button automatically takes the cursor back to the beginning of wherever you have the window set to, which is very useful. So if I'm out here editing something, you know, I've got something. Yeah, but I mean, not the way you're going to be saying it. Something going over here. I'm editing in the middle of this. Not the way you're going to be saying it. Not the way you're going to be saying it. Let's normalize this so we can hear it a little better. We go back down here to switches, normalize. Normalizes this clip. Yeah, but I mean, not the way you're going to be saying it. So then if I have my cursor over here, saying it, and you hit home, takes the cursor back over here. Yeah, but into the windows. That's very helpful when you're doing a ton of little edits and you keep working on different things.
Yeah.
And you just want to hear a whole section before an edit or whatever. You just go ahead and do your edit.
Okay. Okay.
And then home takes you back. So that's very nice. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, end takes you to the end of the window here. So that's a couple of little tidbits there.
Prepare you.
Let me see if there's anything else that I want to say about this stuff. In the windows here, we've got different things. I don't really use most of this kind of stuff. It pops up when you need it. That's something that you'll notice.
Prepare.
If we wanted to add reverb, for example, to this track, we could bring up our effects. Now, our effects track our effects window for this track here, everything automatically has noise gate, track EQ, and track compressor on it, but none of them are doing anything. They're all set to nothing. So let's say we want to boost the lows here on this guy. Oh, here's something useful. Let's say I want to loop just this section here from here to here. You can just grab this yellow here, and that loops. And because I have this button right here pushed that says loop playback, if I have that on, it will keep playing. It'll stop. If I have that hit,
absolute, absolute,
It will loop it.
absolute, absolute, absolute.
So then what I can do is I can go in here, let's boost the lows.
Absolute, 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 absolute.
Take out the lows.
Absolute, 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 absolute.
You can add some compression.
Absolute, 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 absolute.
And yeah, that is annoying, but that's part of the course for editing.
Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for. 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 Prepare.
So I've got the EQ and stuff set up. So again, that's just click the window. That brings up what you've got already on the track. So we want to add something more. And so, boom, that brings up what we've got installed on our computer, different plugins you've got. We'll go with the simple reverb. That adds it to the line here, to the chain. And now you'll notice here that we can move these things around. And that's important depending on what kind of effects you're doing for something. For now, it doesn't really matter. We'll just put some reverb after the compression. And let's see what it sounds like now with the generic reverb settings.
Prepare yourself for. Prepare.
And that's something to note as well. When you're working in this window, if you hit spacebar, it won't go. So you've got to click back in here. I just always click on the top here to just bring myself back to this window.
Prepare yourself for. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Prepare.
So we can go ahead and change the reverb.
Prepare.
Here's the mode set. So these are different presets we have.
Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself.
Metal tape.
Prepare yourself. 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 Prepare yourself for absolute terror. Absolute terror.
Now you'll notice because we've got the reverb extended on this track, it goes beyond you can hear that the reverb continues after the sound is done, and that's because we have it set to the track and not the actual piece of audio itself. If we were going to go ahead and do that, for example, here's another thing. If you double click something, it automatically puts the selection cursor, I guess, on the farthest right point and then the farthest left point on it. So just double clicking on something means you're selecting everything, which is nice. Oh, it looks like this is set to not have to not be included. Oh, that's interesting. I thought that it would include the fades, but it looks like it's not. That must be some sort of a setting that I've got. It might be down here in one of these things. I'm not too sure though. All these are different sort of menus and or not menus. These are different effects you can have. A lot of snapping and trimming and things. And some of those are useful, some of them I don't usually mess with any of that stuff. But it's nice to know, just like I always work with a normal editing tool, but if you want to do shuffling and things like that, if you're working to a grid, that kind of stuff is nice. Vegas is always automatically set to a grid, but the grid is so tiny usually that it doesn't really matter. I think right now I'm not set to any sort of a grid. But anyway. If you did want to add reverb to this specific piece of audio and not the track itself, like let's disable that for a second. Let's make it more intelligible. Let's go ahead and you'd select that whole thing and then extend it out, because again the reverb hangs over. So then we would right click on it, apply event effects. We can go to reverb. Oh, that's what I was looking for, not event effects. I was looking for apply non-real-time effects. That's what I was looking for. So again, we want to make sure I've got extended beyond, because that would have just cut it right off. So I extend beyond it, and then apply non-real-time effects. And then reverb. Yes. And then you can preview it with the play window.
Cool.
No, it wasn't. Okay.
Okay, that's cool.
No, it wasn't. Okay.
Okay, that's cool.
No, it wasn't. Okay.
We'll hit OK. Let's just say I don't know where that wants to save anything, so sure, that's fine. Okay. So that did actually work. Anyway, so that's how to do some of that stuff. Windows can all be changed, moved. Just grab these dotted lines here to move a window in and out. And then when you want to dock it somewhere, hold Control, and you can see the different places where you can dock it. And I think that that's really helpful for different things. You'll notice here when I reverse things, it created a new clip for it because I've got my project media up here. So that's just one sort of example of how to arrange your windows and do a little bit of basic editing stuff. So yeah, hope this was helpful.